Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Reckless Ray. We are back at it again Sunday, January 8th. We're going to start calling this Good Sunday. As you can see at the top of the charts here, the portfolio has pivoted back. And I am happy about it. You know, you start off a portfolio every year. And obviously, you guys are watching me build it and, kind of getting in my mind about how we're piecing some of these moves together. And it starts off and you get the detractors that are like, ha, your portfolio's in the red already. Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's one of the things that happens. It's like when you're dollar cost averaging positions, sometimes, like, obviously the synthetics position, I did not dollar cost average. I took a shot on that because it's a platform that I'm familiar with. I know how it works. I have experience with it, and I've made money off of it before. I am looking to do the same thing again, and it was in a good price range for me. So I did 100% ape in. But let's look at it now. We have flipped back the other direction, which obviously, that being one of the largest positions next to Ethereum, definitely put some boost into the portfolio. And all the other positions are doing pretty well. Fish is kind of iffy, but I found something very interesting on here that we're going to talk about today too with Fish. That provided me also some more chunking into these numbers to make them better. But it's been a good week. It's in green. It is. Everybody should be in green. I definitely heard some wins of some people making some plays that actually worked out in their favor on Bonk. Kudos to you. I'm not involved outside of shorting it, and all the smart people are shorting it. You see something shoot up 4,000% in a week, that's a signal to just throw my gamble on that as the short. And those are good. I like to make money against people gambling. But first, before we get into it, let's take care of some of the housekeeping. Shout out to the bag chasers. You will be getting this video 72 hours ahead of everyone else. Meaning, bag chasers get this video today, January 8th. Those of you who are not in the bag chasers will be getting access to this Wednesday. So there's that. Obviously, the link is in the description. We've got a bunch of new stuff going on, both on my channel, the things that are getting expanded out. Obviously, if you are tapped into this channel and you are wanting to know my philosophy and how I'm navigating from a personal financial perspective, I have released another channel called Future Financial Strategies, which is going over some of the strategies and tools that I am utilizing that I don't believe most people are utilizing, or at least not utilizing in the fashion that I am utilizing them. This is going to be our second video this is the second video of 2023. Jesus Christ, don't even know what year it is. And we are trucking along. So if you want the earliest access to this information, if you feel that would be of value, definitely join the Bag Chasers. It is not my Patreon group. It is a Patreon group belonging to Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com. I was motivated to do this video series by the people that I met in that group. So as an homage to them, through the end of 2023, I will only exclusively be giving them this video early. If you want direct, quick questions, then that is where you would have to send those. On the other note, updates for the channel, we have a channel email. You can email me at recklessraydenaro@gmail.com questions, and I will answer them on the next episode. If it's so basically, I will answer in episode. You can email me questions. But if you want a direct answer, like offline, then you're going to have to be able to contact me, which would be via the Bag Chasers. Unless you know me already. Like if you know me, obviously you have that access. But there's that. And I think we're gonna dive into it. So as we can see, that Ethereum piece of the pie has jumped. We are at 49% weighted on Ethereum. That's just because I'm holding a lot of it. As obviously, I'm on an Ethereum acquisition mission this year. I'm trying to see how much I can get. Hopefully, I am looking to get set aside. Hopefully, at least 10. That's my target goal. Um, Synthetics, obviously, making moves this week is blowing up. Um, that is at 36%. I've got my wire and curve, which is currently 3%. Swapfish currently 8%. Or hold on, what is it? Wire and curve is actually 8%. WETH is 3%, and then Swapfish is 4%. Um, so a couple of the moves we made this week. Obviously, I am adjusting my process of converting the income generated from my swap fish position just to kind of get more bang for my bucks. I was touching on it every single day. I think I'm going to switch that over to my Friday deal. It will either be Friday or Wednesday. I might be touching it twice a week. It depends on what the price is doing. But one of the things I wanted to point out on this one is I am definitely down on this position. It is my degenerate position, a degen position, which means that it's actively managed. I'm always looking at it. I'm watching price fluctuations, and if it hits certain price metrics, I do cash out. So I did have a cash out on there because I was not paying attention the way that I should have, and then fumbled the bag a little bit on pulling the trigger on cashing that position out and buying the dip back in. But I did buy the dip back in, which has been dragging that position down. As far as the percentage, because if your dollar cost averaging and the price goes down and you buy the dip, if it's something that you're interested in staying in, which I am still interested in utilizing this for an income position, when you buy down, it lowers your average cost. So like I've got my average cost way down from when I got in. The position is kind of stabilized. I'm looking at the swings on it. It is not swinging as much as it did that day that it dipped. One of the things when you look at these coins that are not ranked or very low cap coins, it is very easy for somebody with a lot of money to come in and swing those prices. At which point you have a decision to make. Most of my other ones, I'm not really worried about gargantuan swings. As far as the other positions that I've currently got working, I am almost done with my yarn curve position. That will also probably just be sitting there for a year, just accumulating, and like I won't be touching it unless we have some random pumps that are over 100%. But that aside, we're looking obviously EVMOS. I got a distribution on that I reinvested, so that's staying in the pool for now. So you're going to see some of the stuff that's kicking off coins from last year that'll be floating through this year because I'm expecting them to do something. I did add Polygon to my list. I am looking at a position on Polygon that will be a counterpart to the Swapfish. Where the Swapfish is complete degen, this will be partial degen. I'm not a fan of that network, but the income potential and the play on this because of the pricing on it is too good to pass up. So I will be going into position there to position myself for the next bull run because that's going to, with all the partnerships and the utilization that layer 2 is being used, it's not my favorite, but they've got that network effect and the big money's there, so I got to humble myself and just, run with it for what it's worth and just know that that position is going to be short-term income, and once it starts popping off, we're going to look at making those moves, because like that one is one that I'm looking at cashing out throughout the year. So we've covered that. We've covered, obviously, portfolio is looking pretty good. As far as buys this week, I have not hit my 1.5 Ethereum metric on Qcoin, so we're still stacking over there. I think probably next payday, so by the 20th, I will be making the next move into the market to where I'll be finishing off some positions and, you know, making those moves. So we'll have a more dramatic update at that point. That aside, let's move into some news. So I heard this floating around, which it's funny because when I first started in this industry, it was the Coinbase effect. And it was when something got listed on Coinbase early on, you knew that it was going to price. It was going to go up. You were going to get some really good price action off of it, because the goal is, if you're not on centralized markets, like if you've been here a while, the money's made when it gets to the retail people, which is basically the people who aren't intelligent enough to know how to use DeFi, to know how to get coins before they get to a centralized exchange, who are self-custodying. Now it has shifted over to the Binance effect. So they're saying that you're getting a 41% price spike, which for people coming from traditional finance, that is really good. For people who've been in crypto, pretty boring. But it's some price action, and it's something. So the case being, and this ties into the news that I was hearing, which was last year, Binance accounted for, I think it was like over 90% of all transactions for Bitcoin, all Bitcoin transactions, which is crazy. But as big as they are now, and tying it in with this, where you're getting the Binance effect, that is actually much less crazy if they're doing most of the transactions for a centralized exchange, or the people who are new to the market, or the people who just aren't financially savvy enough to want to mess with the DeFi space the way some of us are. The issue is they're accounting for 90% of Bitcoin transactions, which is not good from a decentralization standpoint. Also, from a crypto standpoint, it's like, why would you just go to one bank? Also, why would you keep your money on these platforms? Because if the platform has an issue, then that's not your money, which is the saying that we have in the cryptocurrency space. As far as those of us who've been here a long time, it's not your keys, not your crypto. You can reference the Celsius case right now, which I'm not going to say I'm a victim of, but I was involved in that. It was a decision. I've got $1,000, which really isn't that much to me, over there, and we'll see if I get it back. Like, it's what it is. Like, stuff happens. We make decisions. I'm not a victim. I did it knowledgeably. Obviously, if you're chasing gains on a centralized platform obviously is risky. I didn't see something like that happening, but nobody did, and a lot of people have money tied up over there, so I'm not gonna hold that to myself. I still did pretty well. That aside, I got my money off early enough to where it wasn't all of my money sitting on there, so there's also that benefit. But yeah, you've got to be accountable for your decisions, and it's what it is. But the thing that we learned is, if you've got your stuff sitting on a centralized exchange, it's not necessarily yours. Which is why, in all honesty, not being able to utilize those funds in the way that I had wanted to, and then leaving them there anyways, was my mistake. That aside, having most of the people who are involved in the cryptocurrency market currently using one exchange, if you are custodying your crypto on said exchange, which means basically you're leaving it on there when you're not actively trading it, those are issues. You should not be doing that. It's not a best practice if you're going to be in the space, especially in current state when most of them has slipped into their user agreements that anything that touches their platform is technically theirs if things are to go bad. Um, yeah. I mean, if you're not currently self custodying, I would figure out a way to. I would learn that. Like that's the one skill that I think you should have to consider yourself intelligent in this market or a actual part of this market. If you're not self custodying, then I really don't want to hear anything else that you have to say. To be honest, like your opinion doesn't carry as much credence if you don't have a base skill level in this space. Especially if it's a base skill level that you need to make sure that you don't end up becoming a victim of one of these platform collapses. The other thing is, even if you're using centralized exchanges, you should probably have more than one. If all you have is a Binance and Binance goes down, then like, what are you doing now? Like now, if you're leaving money on there, you've lost that money. But like, also, if you're trying to continue to exist in this market, now you have to go set up a whole nother account. Like you should probably have 2 or 3 of the centralized accounts. Like I don't use them all, but I have a few in case I need to, just because it gives you the ability to be able to get money into the market and get it to where you need it to go, if nothing else. But you should always be looking at, well, what if they shut down this avenue? Do I have another one? With that, this will bring me to some good news that I saw from a couple of days ago about Binance, and that's people are kind of getting hip and pulling their stuff off, the withdrawals. Whenever I see withdrawals on an exchange, I love it. That means that people are getting in there. You do your trading on the exchange, you use it for what it was intended for. It's an exchange, it's not a wallet. It's an exchange, it's not a wallet. And for those of you in the back, I'm going to say it one more time. It's an exchange and not a wallet. That said, when these are getting pulled, like obviously they're going to reference the SBF, which God, I hate having to say that name again, but people became concerned because, oh, this happened to this place. Well, what about my funds? And like the deal is this: every exchange is going to tell you your funds are safe, and for the most part, they are until they aren't. The issue is what happens when stuff goes bad, and that means you lose access to your funds. Your funds are locked up. Your funds are on hold. You can't withdraw them. You got to wait for court proceedings to end to see if you're going to get them back. There's a bunch of stuff, and like with the Celsius deal, like I'm trying to figure out if they're going to cut a check, if they're going to just let you withdraw, because like now they have access to those funds to do with whatever they want via their bankruptcy proceeding. Like those funds are technically theirs, so like now it's up to them to decide if they're going to pay me my $1,000 back. Or what, I mean, as far as I am concerned, mentally, I wrote that off as soon as they made it to where I couldn't withdraw it. Like, I just figured it wasn't coming back. But, people had a lot of money on there, and, I'm also a user of Nexo, which hasn't had this issue yet, but I also use that for the ability to leverage my crypto. And the reason I had shifted most of my funds over to Nexo versus Celsius was because it's weird every state, but like different jurisdictions, there's different rules. And Nexo, I was actually able to utilize the loan functionality, which is all I needed it for. That said, I'm actually utilizing the funds that are sitting there. They're sitting there for a reason. The stuff that I had over in Celsius was doing nothing. I just used it first, and I liked the platform, and it was like, one of those things where you're just using something, and because you were using it, regardless of functionality or how it's sitting there, I just left stuff there, and that's an error on my part. The other thing that I wanted to go back to, we'll wind this down, because I don't have any like super angry rants this week. But I do have one on dollar cost averaging and why it's awesome. So I try to dollar cost average everything. Obviously, the synthetics one, I rushed on that to get something in here to talk about, and it kind of bit me in the butt for a little bit. But we're on the upswing now, which I look at this as like maybe we'll have another good week. But the market up to the bull run is always very volatile. So like I know it's going to go both directions, and I'm just going to buy through it and get the positions I want, and hopefully I'll get something at a deal, which would be nice. Um, but the importance of like your mindset on this, because like I could have, when it dropped 10% and I was down 10%, actually I was down I think 13% technically while I was buying down positions. Um, could have liquidated everything out. Everything's bad, doom and gloom. But I'm looking at it on, especially right now, going in, getting ready to go into a bull run. I am looking at it, and I said this in a couple other videos, as it's place your bet season. So I'm getting nestled into positions that, which are short term, but short term for me is about 24 months at this point. I'd say 6 to 24 months. 6 to 24 months going into this bull run phase, and I'm just getting into position, finding stuff that I like, finding stuff that's interesting, finding stuff that, like I missed the pump on Redacted. I could have got in on that. Index Cooperative had a really decent pump that after I found it, I could have got in on, and I didn't. But I'm just looking at positions, and it's like, even this one, like I don't like the entry point, but if I'm going to be dollar cost averaging, like hopefully by the 20th, this will be at a decent price point, which I think it's a decent price point right now for what I'm going to be utilizing it for. Obviously, income play. When you're talking to me, everything's about income while holding. I want to get paid while I'm holding on to it, but it's important to look at your timelines. Like I'm not the person who's probably ever going to catch a bonk, because I'm not trying to get rich tomorrow. I'm also not buying in on something that's like spiking 500% a day thinking it's a good idea. Like I'm too protective of my money to do that. I've had my hand slapped a few times, and including up through last year. To where that is not something that I even find remotely interesting on those types of plays. Like I'm like, hey, if something happens, cool, I'll be appreciative, but I'm not the one. Like I don't have that short term. Like when it gets down into windows like that, like I can't calculate it. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to manage it. So normally most of my stuff that you'll see on my lists are things that I'm looking at being involved in for at least 6 to 12 months of being there and messing with it. Like this whole Alchemix play thing is based on me being able to repay that loan in full at the end of the year with the gains that I've made throughout the year. And then probably adding to that pool and reutilizing it for the next year. So like, I mean, that could also very easily be towards the end of the year, if things go the way that I'm hoping, getting the stuff that I've made, taking those gains, using that to clear the Alchemix loan, and then taking another Alchemix loan and doubling down on my Ethereum, creating a technically a margin long position where I take the loan out again, get more Ethereum, and place it back in there as a backer to, 1.5x my holdings. So like I'm looking at that as a booster as well for that position. But we'll see what it looks like rolling into next year, because like then, depending on where we're sitting, if I completely close down this portfolio this year, it's going to go back into cash, and then like we rinse and repeat, and we just add to the Ethereum pool on that platform. The other thing that I would high key recommend is getting a hardware wallet. If you do not have one, you should have one. Like I've been using it for on the back end of my dealings for a little bit now, and I'm really considering buying one more and having one of them, moving the one that I'm using right now for the Alchemix play at the end of the year, moving that one to the active ledger and just completely always going through my ledger. because like the comfort of knowing that if something goes wrong or if there's a hack, that without that ledger approval, like they're not getting those funds. So even if the wallet becomes compromised, they can't do anything with it. Kind of, it's making a lot more sense to me, and I've really been considering purchasing a stack. I already have a Nano S and an X, but I'm thinking about getting that stacks and then like putting all my NFTs and everything and that being the vault, and then shifting everything to where it's cold storage backed, so that way in order to get any type of anything, because like right now my active pool, which is the smallest pool, is hot walleted. So adding that extra layer of security as we get further and further into this, and you're seeing like all these big names, which I am not one of, getting hacked, getting all their stuffs taken, getting phished, logging in and clicking connect to a site that wasn't actually the site, and now their wallet's compromised and emptied. Adding that ledger for that extra layer of security is starting to make a lot more sense. With that said, I think we're going to close it out on that. Some things to think on, some stuff to take with you. Obviously, ways to support the channel. You can like, subscribe, share once these go public. Also, there's ways to support monetarily down there. I've got my Cash App, PayPal, crypto addresses. I can take anything, like everything goes back into the channel. Obviously, we're building it out, we're making it better. The other thing, if you have questions, want to dig into the weeds on something, or something that you'd like to see on the next or future episodes, you can now email me. Again, it's recklessraydinero, just like the channel, at gmail.com. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Looking forward to the people tapping in. Those of you who are just making it, welcome. Oh, geez, Ethereum is making $12.91. Oh, dude, we might hit 3,000. That'd be nice if we roll into the week with a 17,200 Bitcoin and a 1,300 Ethereum, which is, both of those are still very underpriced in my opinion. But, if the powers that be let us go up, that would be awesome. So, with that said, hope you guys didn't fumble the bag this weekend. Hope you have a productive week. We are in 2023, and hopefully you are actively pursuing making this year the best year of your life. This is Reckless Ray, and I am out.